Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make the Hamptons necklace featuring Swarovski crystals. Now, this is an exclusive Beadaholique jewelry kit, and what that means is you can only get this kit by shopping at beadaholique.com. So I'm going to show you in this video how to construct this necklace from start to finish, and before I do, I want to show you the 6 different color varieties that we offer at beadaholique.com. All right, so let's start over here. We have 3 that are silver, so you get your choice of 3 different silver versions. And we also have 3 different gold versions for you to choose from as well. So whichever kit you've purchased, you'll be able to follow along with these instructions, and we're going to go ahead and get started in making this kit. All right, so what you'll receive with your kit is you'll receive a foot of your Rollo chain here. You'll get your Swarovski Rivoli. You'll get a lobster clasp. You'll get Swarovski crystal pearls. You'll get 2 jump rings. You'll get a size 4mm 20 gauge open jump ring, and then you'll get 10mm 20 gauge closed jump rings. You'll also receive your Swarovski crystals here, and then you're also going to get some head pins and eye pins as well. And finally, you'll get a little Gita setting, and that will come with a popsicle stick that will help you set that. Now, the only thing that you'll need that you won't receive in your kit is some very basic tools. So we're going to be using a chain nose plier, a round nose plier, and a pair of flush cutters. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start to make all of our little components, and then we're going to construct it from one end to the other. So let's go ahead and take our foot of Rollo chain, and here's a little tip for you. I'm going to take one of my head pins there and slide it onto the last little link, because what I want to do is I want to cut this in half. So what that's going to do is that's going to show me the last little link there at the very, very bottom. And I'm just going to go down and get that last little link and just kind of eyeball it and measure it. You can also measure out 6 inches and 6 inches if you like, but I'm just going to take my flush cutters and I'm going to come in and trim off that link. There we go. And I'm just going to come in there with my pliers and just sort of remove that little link. Just kind of by bending it apart, because we're just going to toss that to the side. All right, so now I have my 2 links of 6 inches of my chain. So that's all set and ready to go. Next, what we're going to do is I'm going to do some eye pins and head pins. So these are going to be simple wire loops using our eye pins and head pins. So let's go ahead and take that head pin, and what we're going to do is we're going to string on one of our Swarovski pearls. And now to make a simple wire loop, we're going to use our round nose pliers, come in there at the base, go ahead and bend that back so it has a little bit of an angle going backwards. I'm just going to scooch my pliers in until they're about 1/4 of an inch from the tip, and I'm going to wrap that wire up and over the top, creating that loop. I'm going to rotate my pliers, and I'm going to bring that little wire across, creating that little loop. Remove my pliers, and then come in there with my flush cutters and just trim off that excess wire. So I can just kind of set that aside. So that is one of the simple wire loops. So we're going to do all 24 there. And then for our eye pins, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to take our eye pin, and this is where we're going to string on our crystals. Now with these, we have the loop facing one way, so you can see that that wire comes down and is looping around this way. So what I want to do is I want to have my wire looping around the other way. So again, very same process. We come in there at the base of that bead and just sort of bend that backwards, move it in just a little bit, wrap it up and over the top and across to make that simple wire loop, and come in with our little flush cutters. Now here's a little tip when we start constructing the necklace. You're going to want to come in with your chain nose pliers and just kind of grip that and just make sure that it is nice and even all the way across. You can see that we have that nice little line going through there. That's going to help your necklace be stable and lay the right way. So just make sure that your little loops are like that, so you can just kind of just pinch it right there with your chain nose pliers, and it's going to be perfect all the way. All right, so what you're going to do now is you're going to continue to do all 8 of the simple wire loops for your crystals and all 24 of the simple wire loops for your pearls. So go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, so we have all of our little loops here ready to go. So the last component that we need to put together is we're going to be putting our Rivoli stone into our little Gita setting. And to do that, we're going to use a popsicle stick because this is definitely good to use if you don't want to scratch that crystal, because this is a nice little soft wood. All right, so very simply, we're just going to place it into that setting. It should fit nice and snug. And then I'm just going to kind of come on top of it and just kind of hold it with my thumb there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little rolling motion with my popsicle stick, and I'm just going to roll it over the top of that prong. It's a nice soft metal, so it should hold and just sort of bend up and over. So now if you're looking at your piece, I was sort of up here at the 1 o'clock spot, so I want to go down here to that 7 o'clock. So I'm just going to kind of rotate it in my finger because I like to kind of work the same way. So you always want to work across in that little X formation. And we're just going to roll that in. And then same thing, I'm just going to move to the one side, roll that in, and move to the other side. And don't worry about fingerprints, you can just get those off with a little cloth, you'll be fine. But this does help to stabilize it. I know my thumb might be in the way, but all I'm doing is just a little rolling motion and just applying a little bit of pressure. All right, so there is our little Gita setting, and that is all set to go now. All right, so let's start constructing our necklace. So I'm just going to kind of bring everything out here so you can see what's going to happen. So we're going to be using these closed jump rings, and these are kind of going to work like little spacers. So you can see that we have 7. So let's just sort of set this up here. So what I want to do first is I'm going to mark my center one, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go ahead and add that Gita finding with one of those little tiny 4mm open jump rings. So I'm just going to come in with my chain nose pliers, and we can use our round nose pliers for this as well. So we're just going to gently give it a little twist just to open that up. Slip it onto the loop of our Gita finding, slip it onto that closed jump ring, and now we're just going to close that up. And you always want to make sure that your jump rings have a nice good closure, and your simple wire loops as well. We don't want to lose anything. All right, so that will act as our center. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to be using those simple wire loops to attach each of the jump rings to one another. So to do that, again, we're just going to open it very similar to as we do a jump ring, but this you can kind of hold that bead. So all we're going to do is loop that on to one jump ring and just give that a nice little closure. Come to the other side, open that up, slip on the next jump ring. Oops, I need to open mine a little bit more. There we go. Close that up. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to repeat to do that for each of these individual ones here. And when you get to the end of the chain, I'll show you how to attach that. So it'll look something like that. So let me attach all my little loops, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I've gone ahead and added the chain to one side. And to do it for both sides here, let me just show you that little technique. So we're just going to continue to open those simple wire loops just like we've been doing. Slip on the last link in our chain, and then come in here and just gently close that up. So it's that simple. So now we have the base of our necklace ready to go. So we're going to start to add our little pearls to the bottom of the jump rings. Now you can see the reason I said earlier is we really want to make sure that those simple wire loops on our crystals are nice and straight across so that our necklace has a sort of top and a bottom to the jump rings here, because we want to make sure that those little pearls are going to sit at the bottom. So let's go ahead and we're going to start adding 3. So you just take your simple wire loop, bend it back, and this is the front of the necklace. So I always like to loop it going backwards. So if you just sort of gently pick it up and just make sure that your loop is going to the back. And now just coming across here, we're just going to tuck that and make sure that it is a nice tight little loop there. All right, so you just repeat that, and we're going to add 3 to each on the outside, and then I'll show you what happens when we get to that center point, but go ahead and add 3 to each of those 6 jump rings on the outside. All right, so this is what we should have so far. We have 3 of our little pearls on each of those jump rings. And then for the last 6 pearls, I just want to point out with my pliers where they're going to go. So you're going to get 3 on this side, and then you're going to get 3 on this side. So it's going to be between that fancy stone setting and the next crystal. So we're going to kind of work on those bottom little halves right here. So I'm going to kind of move this so I can see that. So we're going to be on those sides there. So again, just do the same thing with those simple wire loops, bending them open, making sure they're facing the back. I'm going to kind of move mine to the side there. There we go. And closing those up. So I'm going to attach all 6 of my final pearls, and then I'm going to be back to show you how to finish it off with a nice easy clasp. And finally, we are going to take our small jump rings here, and we're going to do that same motion, give them a little twist, hook it onto the last link of our chain. There we go. And we're just going to close that up. And then to the other side, we're going to do that same thing. Little gentle twist, slip it onto our last link, and we're going to add that little lobster clasp there at the end. And come in with my pliers and give that a nice good closure. There we go. And that is how easy it is to make the Hamptons necklace featuring Swarovski crystals. Now again, these are exclusive Beadaholique kits that you can only get by shopping at beadaholique.com. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to our YouTube channel here, be sure to hit that subscribe button below to get all the latest from Beadaholique.